What if the person sworn to stop drug cartels at the border was actually helping them smuggle poison into America? A border patrol agent, a man with a badge and a uniform, someone trusted to protect the country. Instead, he was being paid by the Sinaloa Cartel to make sure their shipments got through. This is the story of how federal investigators uncover one of the most shocking betrayals in border security history, and how 400 law enforcement officers dismantled an entire criminal empire when they discovered the corruption from within. The Imperial Valley stretches along the border between California and Mexico. Desert heat, endless highways, and some of the busiest inspection points in the country. Every day, thousands of vehicles pass through Border Patrol checkpoints. Agents check documents, search vehicles, and use canine units to detect hidden drugs. It is exhausting work, high pressure, but critical. These checkpoints are the barrier between Mexican cartels and American streets. The agents who work there are sworn to protect the border. They are trained to spot deception and empowered to stop smugglers. But in the spring of 2024, investigators at the Drug Enforcement Administration noticed something disturbing. Drug shipments were getting through the Imperial Valley checkpoints with unusual frequency, large quantities, methamphetamine, fentanyl. The Sinaloa Cartel was moving product across the border, and someone was helping them do it. Patterns emerged. Certain vehicles were passing through without inspection. Drivers with known cartel ties were getting waved through during specific shifts. Timing that seemed coordinated. Federal investigators suspected the worst. Someone on the inside was corrupt. Internal Affairs began a quiet investigation. They monitored checkpoint activity. They reviewed inspection logs. They cross-referenced agent work schedules with known smuggling attempts. One name kept appearing in the data, an agent stationed at the Imperial Valley checkpoint. His shifts aligned perfectly with successful cartel runs, but they needed more than patterns. They needed proof. Surveillance teams were deployed outside working hours. They tracked movements and monitored communications. What they discovered was far worse than anyone expected. Meetings took place with individuals connected to the Sinaloa cartel. Cash deposits did not match a government salary. Encrypted messages discussed shipment schedules. The evidence was building. A trusted Border Patrol agent was actively coordinating with drug traffickers, but the betrayal went deeper. This was not simply an agent looking the other way. He provided intelligence to smugglers, alerting them when inspections would be heavy or light, identifying which routes were safest, and coordinating timing down to the minute. He had become a strategic asset for the cartel, using his position and access to make drug trafficking easier and safer. Federal prosecutors quietly built their case. Wiretaps captured conversations. Financial forensics traced cartel payments. Surveillance footage documented meetings. As investigators dug deeper, they realized this corrupt agent was not operating alone. He was part of a massive Sinaloa cartel network spanning multiple states, including 47 individuals, distribution hubs in Los Angeles, money laundering operations in San Diego, stash houses in Phoenix, and storage facilities in Oregon. A complete infrastructure built to flood American communities with methamphetamine and fentanyl. The network was sophisticated, professional, and deadly effective. Over a 6-month period, investigators estimated it moved over 700 pounds of methamphetamine into the United States. Fentanyl seizures would eventually total 4 kilograms. That is approximately 2 million lethal doses, enough to kill a major city, and the corrupt agent at the border made it all possible. How long had this been going on? How many shipments got through before investigators caught on? Those questions haunted the task force. Every successful smuggling run represented overdoses, families destroyed, communities poisoned, and a Border Patrol agent in uniform knew exactly what he was enabling. Federal agencies coordinated the takedown, including the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Internal Affairs. Over 400 federal, state, and local law enforcement officers were mobilized. 14 separate federal indictments were prepared in secret. 25 search warrants were issued for locations across Imperial County, San Diego, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Salem, Oregon. This would be the largest coordinated operation in Imperial Valley history, and it had to be executed simultaneously. If one target got warned, the entire network could vanish. June 2024. Pre-dawn. The operation launched. SWAT teams breached stash houses in Phoenix. Suspects pulled from beds. Inside, methamphetamine packaged for distribution, weapons, cash counting machines, the infrastructure of a professional drug operation. In Los Angeles, undercover agents who had been monitoring distribution points moved in. Arrests at apartments, storage units, vehicles intercepted mid-delivery. The coordination was flawless. Every suspect was grabbed before warnings could spread. Financial investigators raided businesses in San Diego suspected of laundering cartel money. Computers seized, bank records confiscated. The money trail that funded the entire operation was being torn apart. And at a residence in Imperial Valley, federal agents arrived with an arrest warrant for the corrupt Border Patrol agent. He answered the door in civilian clothes. No uniform, no badge, just a man who had sold out his oath. Agents placed him in handcuffs. The look on his face was pure shock. He never believed he would get caught. 36 people were arrested that morning. 11 others were identified as fugitives still being hunted. The raids produced overwhelming evidence. 52 firearms, over 714 pounds of methamphetamine, 4 kilograms of fentanyl. Financial records showing millions in cartel payments, encrypted communications detailing shipment schedules, everything connected directly back to the Sinaloa network. But the most damaging evidence targeted the corrupt agent himself. Text messages with cartel operatives, bank deposits matching dates of successful smuggling runs, testimony from witnesses who described how he provided inside information. His betrayal was documented in brutal detail. The shock rippled through Border Patrol. Agents who had worked alongside him felt betrayed. They had trusted him. They relied on him during dangerous situations. They believed he shared their mission to protect the country. Now they learned he had been undermining everything they fought for. Morale took a hit. Questions arose about how someone could pass background checks, security clearance, and years of service only to end up working for the very criminals he was supposed to stop. Federal prosecutors held a press conference. They detailed the scope of the takedown. The arrests, the seizures, and the central figure of corruption. A Border Patrol agent who chose money over duty. They emphasized that this was not systemic. The vast majority of agents serve honorably. But when corruption occurs, the response is absolute and unforgiving. The corrupt agent now faces federal charges that could result in decades in prison, conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine and fentanyl, bribery, corruption of a federal officer. The evidence is so overwhelming that legal experts predict a guilty plea rather than a trial. His career is over, his reputation destroyed. His freedom is likely gone for the rest of his life. The 46 other defendants face similar consequences. The Sinaloa Cartel spent years building this network. It invested millions. It established distribution channels. And in one coordinated operation, federal law enforcement tore it all down. Internal affairs investigators who uncovered the corruption received commendations for their work. They proved that accountability mechanisms function. That even when criminals infiltrate law enforcement, there are good agents watching, investigating, and ensuring justice gets served. But uncomfortable questions remain. How many other corrupt officials are embedded in border security? How many shipments got through before this agent was caught? How long had the betrayal been happening? Border Patrol implemented stricter internal monitoring and response, random integrity checks, enhanced financial auditing, measures designed to catch corruption earlier. The message is clear: betray the badge, betray the country, and the consequences are total. The corrupt agent thought his position made him untouchable. Protected by his uniform, insulated by cartel money. He was wrong. The same system he tried to corrupt eventually exposed him, arrested him, and will now imprison him for what he did. 400 law enforcement officers working together, 14 indictments, 47 defendants, millions in cartel assets seized, and one corrupt Border Patrol agent learning that no amount of money is worth destroying your life and betraying your oath to protect America. If you believe Border Patrol should have even stricter internal monitoring to prevent corruption, hit the like button now. Subscribe to Justice Chronicles for our accountability journalism mainstream media barely covered. Comment justice if you support the investigators who exposed this betrayal, because while one agent went corrupt, hundreds of others stayed loyal, worked the case, and made sure the Sinaloa Cartel learned that infiltrating American law enforcement only guarantees your network gets destroyed.